Welcome to an excerpt from Jihad in the West, Black Flag over Babylon by Mark Silinsky, with a foreword by Sebastian Gorka. It was published by Indiana University Press in Bloomington and Indianapolis. This reading is presented by Kensington Security Consulting, which brings education to national security. This excerpt comes from Chapter 4 and explores the mental health of Western Islamists, mental health of foreign fighters, crazy eyes, and holy anger. Some observers of the Caliphate have speculated that its ranks are overrepresented with sociopaths and people with other severe emotional disorders. The bloodletting in Syria and Iraq may have attracted emotionally unstable or sadistic personalities. According to Nicholas Sennels, a Danish psychologist, violence is much more accepted in European Muslim households than in European non-Muslim households. He argues that exposure to violence and the inculcation of hate, particularly at very young ages, increases the risk of psychiatric disorders. He concludes that Islamic culture is more likely than Western ethos to create criminal and antisocial behavior. Ostentatious displays of anger in the West are signs of weakness and of brittle personalities. In Muslim culture, he argues, anger is much more accepted, and being able to intimidate people is seen as a strength and a source of social status. It is seen as holy anger, which is a venomous blend of religious fanaticism and emotional instability. Finally, there is, according to Sennels, the demonization of the non-Muslim. Killing another person is easier if you hate him and do not perceive him as fully human. But other mental health professionals are not persuaded that this cohort contains a statistically significantly higher level of psychopathology or psychosis than is found in general European populations. Persons with significant psychotic disorders usually cannot perform satisfactorily in a military or paramilitary setting. By definition, persons experiencing psychosis are often unable to distinguish fantasy from reality. Their tortured minds are haunted by auditory or visual hallucinations, which explains their often eccentric behavior. In regimented structures, such as the military, they would be quickly identified as acting inappropriately or communicating incoherently. Observers might remark on their abnormal facial expressions, such as unfocused or crazy eyes, or on their jumbled, mumbled conversations with flat affect or out-of-context outbursts of anger. In the Caliphate, individuals exhibiting this behavior would be immediately noticed and likely restrained or killed. In the Caliphate, and in other Sharia-based countries, people are killed for sorcery and witchcraft. Many Muslims believe in evil spirits called jinns. What can be seen in Western states as idiosyncratic or strange but innocuous behavior can be interpreted as demonic possession in parts of the Islamic world. This could bring a swift death sentence. The legal definition of insanity varies across Western countries and among U.S. states. In the United States, to be proven innocent by reason of insanity in most courts, a defendant needs to convince the court that he or she was compelled by an irresistible impulse to commit the crime. This is also known as the policeman at the elbow defense. To be innocent by reason of insanity, a person needs to be unable to resist the drive to kill and would have killed the victim even if a police officer had been at the scene. Another standard is the wild beast test. To be found innocent, a defendant needs to have a mental deficiency in understanding and memory and would need to act like a wild beast. By this standard, there are few Western jihadis who would qualify. But there are dangerous psychotics who kill because they hear voices and commands that they cannot resist. Some believe they are killing on God's orders, as profiled below. Profile 13. Beware the smiling nanny. The Muscovites could not believe their eyes. Maybe a studio was filming a horror movie near the subway station in Moscow. Maybe it was a sick prank. A dark-skinned, Central Asian-appearing, middle-aged woman brandished the head of a child and yelled, "Allahu Akbar." Then she smiled and yelled in Russian, "I am a terrorist." 112. She was the nanny of the 4-year-old girl she had beheaded because voices told her to do so. Allah had spoken to her. Gulchekra Bobokulova was raised in Uzbekistan. Unlucky with men and an unmarried mother herself, she became increasingly devout in her Muslim faith. At some point, likely in late adolescence, she began hearing voices. Her mental health deteriorated, and she was hospitalized in her native country for schizophrenia. She told friends she wanted to live in Syria, but lacked the funds to do so. Instead, she connected with the Caliphate online. She went to Moscow to work as a nanny, and her ward was a 4-year-old girl with a disability. Bobokulova was taken into the hard-working young couple's home and, by all accounts, treated as a member of the family and kindly. However, she continued to hear voices, and observers noted that she smiled and giggled for no apparent reason. When interrogated by police, she said, "Allah ordered me to sever the head." Russian authorities and mental health professionals declared her insane. As of summer 2016, she will not be tried for murder. Instead, she will be incarcerated for insanity. As for the child she killed, those who loved her, as well as passers-by, paid tribute to her at the Oktyabrskoye Pole metro station in Moscow. People laid many flowers and placed dolls and teddy bears at a makeshift memorial. This concludes a reading from Jihad and the West, Black Flag over Babylon, by Mark Silinsky, with a foreword by Sebastian Gorka. If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing and pressing the like button. Jihad and the West is available for purchase online and in select bookstores worldwide. Dr. Silinsky's latest book, Cauldron of Terror, Hamas, Israel and the World, will be available in spring 2026. Nothing in this reading or any other reading in Jihad and the West represents the official position of any person or agency of the United States government. On behalf of Kensington Security Consulting, thank you for listening.